This episode is brought to you by SD Sober Living. If you or someone you know needs a safe, supportive recovery home, then reach out to SD Sober Living at www.sdsoberliving.org or call 619-334-9869. That's 619-334-9869. Come get some Fuck Fentanyl and some San Diego recovery at SD Sober Living. This is the Fuck Fentanyl guy letting you know if you or a loved one is injured in a motorcycle accident, then call 1-800-Lawtigers for a free case evaluation. We are available 24/7. That's 1-800-Lawtigers with over $1.5 billion recovered in verdicts and settlements. Nobody got your back more than Lawtigers. Hey everyone, I want to take a moment to talk about something really important: mental health and addiction. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or drug addiction, especially if they're facing chronic relapses or have a history of bouncing in and out of treatment centers, I want to recommend Baja Rehab. Baja is a premier lockdown treatment center located just 45 minutes from the San Diego border in beautiful Mexico. I've had the opportunity to visit their facility, and I can tell you firsthand, it's not only stunning, but also equipped with everything needed for recovery. They offer comprehensive medical detox and have a dedicated team of drug counselors and specialized therapists. If you are ready to take the first step towards healing, call Shalom, the intake director, at 619-855-6368. That's 619-855-6368. Your loved ones deserve a second chance, so don't wait until it's too late. Reach out to Baja Rehab today. Descendants. One of the most awesome shows I've ever been to. I'm Luis Romero. I'm the Fuck Fentanyl guy, and this is the Fuck Fentanyl podcast. I have my friend Katie on. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm glad to finally make it here.
I know. I was thinking about that before you got here. I was like, this one was in the making for a while.
Yeah, real.
I think since I did Charlie's.
Yeah.
I was trying to get you on here, but that's fucking awesome. I'm glad that you're busy and doing life shit.
Dude, but yeah, understatement for sure. School life, work balance, as we know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's good. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
But oh god, so where did you grow up?
I'm from San Diego.
Yeah,
I've been from San Diego my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
El Cajon.
The same
great. 10 blocks.
The same.
Literally. One day I'll move out of there. One day.
Yeah, I mean, I was not. It's funny. I never went to El Cajon ever, unless it was a job what I used to do construction and stuff like that. I do sometimes still, but it's more side work I do now. But yeah, El Cajon was the only time I would go is just for work, and I'd be like, oh hell no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it's the armpit of area. I hate it. It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. Did you ever see that one meme with it's the Lion King?
Mm-hmm.
And the little shadow.
Everything that the sun touches.
Yeah.
And we're the fucking elephant graveyard.
Yeah.
100%.
The elephant graveyard. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tread.
Don't go there. Yeah. Don't ever go there.
Honestly.
Yeah. So when did alcohol and drugs become in the picture for you?
I want to say around the time I was 12 or 13. Yeah. I was at the time I was living on Madison and Oakdale.
Okay.
And basically I can't even really remember how I got introduced to it per se. I mean, for most of us, we start with something small, whether it's like weed or alcohol or
Right,
whatever.
yeah, it's typically the standard story.
I remember I was hanging out with people that were definitely too old for me. And
yeah.
I remember like the first time I smoked like a blunt was there's like this Christian college just past Grossmont High School.
Uh-huh.
And this friend I knew, like we went to his dorm and he grabbed some weed from his homie and like we were like smoking on this Christian college campus.
Yeah.
And then he walked me home and I was so like out of my mind that I was like, I just remember I could not stop laughing and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever because like finally I was like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about reality and I can just live in my own little universe.
Right.
And then from there I was just like, what else can give me this type of, release from reality?
Right.
I was just a super angry teenager and when I was 10, my mom passed away, and then from there it was just kind of like the catalyst that just snowballed into worse and worse things. I grew up with her up until I was 10. My dad was never in the picture.
I see.
She did the best she could, you know what I mean?
Right.
But unfortunately, a lot of us that tend to divert towards drugs, we come from a very dysfunctional childhood.
Right.
And she definitely struggled with some mental health issues. And back at that time, like, that wasn't really anything that was talked about. Awareness on mental health.
No, not at all.
No,
maybe the past 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, it was definitely, like, on the down low. And even more so in my family, it was just, like, we're gonna fake it till we make it kind of thing.
Right.
We cry behind closed doors, that type of stuff.
Yeah. As long as everything looks nice outside, it's fine.
Exactly. And, being exposed to that throughout my childhood definitely repressed a lot of feelings in me because I learned pretty quickly, like, that you can't talk about stuff like that in my house. Like, if anyone's bothering you or, like, you're going through things or even just asking my mom things that didn't make sense to me, like, hey, Mom, why were you crying in the middle of last night or things like that she thought I didn't notice. And then when she realized I did notice, being a parent, it upset her and having some issues, she didn't know how to deal with it. So it didn't have some great responses. So I just learned really quickly to try and ignore it.
You didn't see nothing.
yeah, exactly. So like once she passed away and having all those repressed feelings and going through some of that early childhood trauma, it just kind of imploded the rest of whatever type of coping skills I had left to deal with life. And then once I was introduced to substance, it was just kind of like taken off from there. By the time I was 15, like I had already like done meth. I had done a menagerie of different types of pills.
Whatever you got.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I never really had like, what we call a DOC or a drug of choice, to be honest.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, like
garbage
at that
can.
time, whatever. Like, oh, is this unleaded? Cool, let me get some.
Yeah.
At that time, like fentanyl wasn't really around, at least that I was aware of, so I didn't really get exposed to it.
When you were 15? What was that? Like maybe like
about 16 years ago.
16 years? Nah.
Yeah.
It was like a patch.
Yeah.
Or a lollipop.
Right.
That looked like it was like a kind of like a Q-tip.
Like a medicinal thing,
if
anything.
Yeah. But it wasn't on the streets.
Right.
Not here, at least.
Yeah. So it was like, if there was anything like that, it was like morphine or heroin.
Right.
Which I had dabbled with from time to time, but again, it wasn't something that was around enough for me to get often enough. So it just frustrated me. Be like, dude, find me something that's constant.
Right.
And at the time, I was more of like a uppers person as it was.
Well, there's plenty of meth and alcohol.
Dude. Like you can literally between like that or like, your pharmaceutical versions that are like one or two molecules off. You're like, sick, whatever, crush it up and put it in my drink. I don't care. So yeah, by the time I was 16, I got my first DUI. Luckily, nobody got hurt at the time, but it definitely kind of gave me a little bit of a revamping of my thought process. It was the first time I had like some official quote, like run-ins with the law.
Right. 16 is pretty young to get charged like that.
Yeah. I was just very careless. Like I really just didn't have any consideration for my own life or for like the life of others. Like I didn't really hold value to it.
Right.
I was just very depressed and in denial of that depression, and I didn't seek help. I didn't know how to seek help. And as we know, like when we don't love ourselves, like we just can't accept it from anybody else. So anybody who tried to help me, it was not received well.
Right.
And I was just a very volatile person to be around.
Yeah.
So like even when that happened, like, you know, it scared me for a second, and then like normalcy came around and a few months passed and I was like, cool, back to regular program.
Yeah.
And I tapered off of like most drugs by the time I was like 17. I really wasn't messing around with most, but like alcohol became like my new love.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Like it was the quote socially acceptable thing.
Yeah, of course. Even at that age, most kids are drinking.
Yeah, and like no one's gonna look at someone like drinking on the side of the road, even if they get kind of like caught, as opposed to like someone doing a 10 and 2 at a teener.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Hold on a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're pulled over like, hey, what?
Yeah, like those two things are definitely looked at way differently.
Yeah.
So,
unless you live in downtown San Diego.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, same
day.
stuff, different day. You know what I mean? But yeah, like in my brain, that's how I justified it. I was like, oh, you know, like I can't do this anymore because like that shit got me in way more trouble and it was way harder to find. But like, shoot, I can pay a homeless dude $10 and come out with a 30-pack.
Yeah, those are the days.
Yeah, you know. So like, I would just go anywhere I could find. There was even a time where like I was going to a Parkway Mall like consistently, probably like every day, just to meet up with the same group of misfits. And literally, I would just be a pro, like, hey, Katie, where's the Captain Morgan? Or, hey, where's this? And I literally just pull this, like, gallon jug of alcohol out of my purse and be like, dude, you already know.
Yeah.
Like, and it would just rinse, wash, repeat like that for quite some time, like, at least a year. And,
shit, man.
Like, I still know some of the security guards there by first name basis.
Really?
Yeah.
From back in the day?
Yeah. Like, when I got out of prison, like, I went there and I recognized one of them, and they're like, where have you been at? And I gave him a whole spiel. And her name's Chris. She's an awesome human being. And small world.
Wow, what a crazy small world.
Yeah, I did way too many stupid things there, but luckily I had some people looking out for me. There was even a time where like I was pretty much scrapping my ex-boyfriend at the time in the middle of the mall, and like one of the security guards approached me and he was like, hey man, if you don't want to go to jail, you need to leave because the cops are on the way. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, okay, cool. And like moved across the street. Yeah, like that was the type of definitely like enabled me, but like you know, it got me out of it at the time.
Right.
But anyway.
Right, got you out of a jam.
Yeah. So I got the first DUI.
Were you living with family?
I was.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah, so I've lived with my grandma from the moment my mom passed away.
I see.
My grandma, my grandpa. By the time I was 18, I was still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents had like retained the same job, lived in the same apartment my whole life, right?
Sure.
At that time, though, we found out that my grandpa had cancer.
Damn.
And at the same time, they lost their jobs. They got, I don't know if they like the management company that they were working for. The owners ended up like firing the management company, and they wanted to take it over.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm going to say about that is the owner's wife was like the devil incarnate. This lady harassed my family so hard. Like,
really?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I remember one night, like, my grandpa just got chemo and he was sleeping in the other room, and this lady came banging on our door at like 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, what the hell? So I opened the door, and she's just like got one of her little cronies behind her, and she's yelling at us like, you guys, like, I don't know if she was drunk or something. She was like, you guys need to get the fuck out of this apartment.
What?
Craziness. Like, it was wild. Like, just that turbulence at that time just sped up my drinking so much.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Because, like, all of a sudden, like, we went from, like, a super consistent, grounded life of, like, I've had the same place to live my whole life, pretty much.
Right.
My grandparents had jobs to, like, my grandpa's dying. We're losing our job. They're losing their job, our financial security, and our place to live. And then this lady who, like, I've never met before, like, every day, that was the routine. Like, they were just harassing my grandparents. And it took, like, everything in me to, like, not snap off on this lady
Right, of
and like
course.
beat the shit out of her.
Right.
It's like, I'm
What
gonna
a
kill this
fucking
lady.
piece of shit to do
Dude.
that to someone that has cancer.
Bro,
Like, what the fuck?
my brain was just like, I couldn't wrap around. I literally thought I was in a dream state. Like at that
Right.
time, I didn't eat for like 3 days straight while we were transitioning to move. It was just,
Right.
I was in like this daze.
Right.
So we move. My grandparents were like living off Social Security at that time, and I stayed in high school for an extra year because they were getting like benefits from me staying in school, like financially.
No shit. So you just kind of just hung around. And...
Yeah. So I wouldn't say like purposely failed some classes, but I was going to chaparral at the time, so like you could kind of work your classes kind of like a college student,
right?
Kind of pick them. So I took an extra year.
Okay.
So I graduated as a 5th year senior at 19.
Okay.
And then I met who is now my ex-husband.
Yeah.
I met him when I was about 16, 17.
Yeah.
And like he moved in with us shortly after I met him. So he was there through this whole process.
Oh, no shit. How old was he? Like same age as you?
Oh, yeah, he was only like 2 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, you know, just like most of us who are in our addiction, when we meet somebody and bring them into our life.
Yeah, hey, come on.
Yeah, you know, it's like the K-Fed Britney relationship. K-Fed
Britney.
We're going to walk off into the sunset.
Right, of
so
course.
great.
It's going to be perfect.
Yeah, you're fucked up. I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what? We should get married.
Totally.
Yeah, it makes
100%.
so much sense, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't even know what life is like sober. I've never even tried to be an adult. I'm going to just drag you on my drama.
Just marry this man.
Yeah, fuck yeah. You know, life can only get so much better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we moved, and then by the time I was 20, me and him got married. We were still living with my grandparents, but my grandparents were still on unemployment and Social Security, so, like, me and him were working and subsidizing the income, so we all just kind of lived together, which worked for a while, but, you know, I was working a lot to try and make up their income, and he was doing the best that he could, and I was trying to, like, in my brain, even though, like, I'm still drinking and trying to, you know, somehow function.
Yeah.
I'm trying to brainstorm, like, what can I do to fix this solution, right? Or fix this problem. Because I'm coming home every night. My grandma's crying. My grandpa's still going through cancer. Yeah. And she's just upset because she's never had to, like, try and raise a family on government aid. She's always been able to take care of her family, so she just didn't know what to do. Right, of course. So, like, I was selling off, like, things that I'd had over time, like any electronics, anything I had of value to try and give her more money. And then I found a mechanic job that was taking like an apprentice up in Oceanside. Oh, no shit. Okay. So I got that job. It didn't really pay me much more, but I kept thinking in my brain, like, if I just grind through this, get the trade, it'll be a payoff. Yeah, hopefully. Right. Well, it didn't last long enough to even see that, but I tried. Oh, fuck. You know, I lasted there for about a year. And through that time, like, just between the drive and the pressure of the job, it just kept increasing my using, right? Right. It got to a point where, I mean, I was drinking every day. I was drinking with my coworkers at lunchtime. Oh, like, no shit. Like, it was dangerous, man. There was times where, like... You're going from El Cajon to Oceanside? Yeah. Oh, fuck, dude. And back. You know what I mean? And that was for 10 to 12-hour shifts sometimes. Yeah, so you're exhausted and just like enamored. Yeah, and then I would just go home and, like, I'd be so... If I was sober, like, I'd be so anxious to go to work the next day because I felt so much pressure. I was like, if I lose this job or if I don't make enough money, like, what's going to happen to my family? Like, these thoughts just kept rushing through my head constantly, and I just felt trapped. So one day, it finally just came to a head where, you know, usual program, we're wrapping up at work, and my coworker's like, hey, you want to go to the bar, just have a drink or two? And I'm like, yeah, you know, why not? I was already planning to go kick it with my husband at the time, his brother and his uncle, go get hammered, so I can go, you know, get teed off beforehand. Yeah, pregame. Yeah, let's go. Right. So, you know, we go do our thing. I have a couple drinks. He did ask me, he was like, hey, are you good to drive? And, you know, when you drink that much, like, that's normalcy. You know what I mean? Right. Like, yeah, I feel fine. Like, in my brain, I'm like, yeah, this is normal. Sure. Yeah. You know, I'm driving on the way home. Usual program. I get to Lakeside where I'm trying to pick up my uncle to go back to my house. Yeah. I notice my gas gauge is on. So I pull off, get some gas, and when I got out of the gas station, I didn't realize I hadn't turned my headlights back on. So I'm driving down the road, and I remember I called my uncle to let him know I'm a few blocks away, and I got him on Bluetooth, so I'm driving.
Yeah.
And I remember leaning forward in the car, and I'm like looking ahead at this light, and I'm like, bro, why is it so dark out? Like all I could see straight up was just the one red light at the stoplight, and just like the street was like so dark. And I'm telling my uncle, like, dude, I can barely see. Like, this is wild. And then in the middle of our conversation, just boom, like I come to this screeching stop. And I remember the sound of my windshield, like the glass popping, like this just, it wasn't like how they make it seem like on TV where it's like like dropping a glass on the ground. It's like this really loud pop of the glass. And like everything came like screeching, like so slow. I remember like my head was like kicking back, but it was really slow, and I could almost like visualize like the glass like floating through the air. It's so weird to describe. And then all of a sudden like time sped up like normal again, and my head snapped forward. I drove sticks, so like the lights came on, my car stalled out.
Oh shit.
I'm still on the phone in Bluetooth, and all I remember my uncle's like, whoa, what was that?
He heard the whole thing.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, it hadn't registered to me that I'd hit somebody. I thought maybe I hit a dog because I thought, like, I didn't see anything. I thought it had to be something everything was pitch black. Yeah, I thought it had to be something shorter than my car. I was like, oh my God, I hit a dog. Maybe there was something in the road.
Right.
Maybe somebody was on a bike. You know what I mean? I don't know. And I hadn't realized I was injured yet. Like, the adrenaline was just going pretty fast because apparently, like, my airbags didn't go off. My face slammed into the steering wheel and broke my nose.
Oh, fuck.
I had a couple fractures in my face. And later on, I found out I had an epidural hematoma, so my brain was bleeding. But it was not registering at the time. And I was like, I don't know, dude, but I got to hang up so I can call 911. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, don't panic, don't panic. Because I always tell you when you're injured or some shit happens, panicking makes it worse, right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to be rational
while
I'm
absolutely.
Fucking buzzed and driving, right? Makes sense.
Right.
So I hang up on him. Well, my car is having like a moment because it's like stalling. It's broken because the front end's busted. So I can't get the phone to like call. Yeah. Because it's connected to Bluetooth. The screen's not working.
I see.
So I try to kick the door open, right? And my windshield's busted in. Like I start feeling like wetness on my shirt because my nose is like leaking down my face.
Right.
I'm starting to get dizzy. My door won't open, so I kick it until I can get it open. At this point, like my eyes are swelling shut, so I can't really see, and I fall out of the car. I got half my body in the car, half my body out of the car, and I fall to the ground. Like at this point, like I'm bleeding so much, I can feel it like pooling around my waist, and I'm just kind of like laying there, like, all right, I can't see, I can't move, like my head is killing me. Right. I don't know what's going on. So I hear this like commotion, right? Crying and screaming. There's somebody saying, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. And it still hasn't dawned on me what's going on. I remember like I could kind of see the sky, and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm going to die here. Right. And I was okay with that. I remember this suddenly just, I felt all the adrenaline leave my body, and I was just calm, and I was like, all right, you know what, I want this. Just let it take me. I'm tired. I'm tired of this routine. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of trying to swim above water of this like crippling depression and all these things that I've just been trying to bury for years. Right. And then I remember I'm like about to go out of consciousness, and I still don't know who it was to this day, but a lady, I can hear her running up, and then she grabs my hand and she starts talking to me to keep me awake. And she's like, she says like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? Like, stay with me, talk with me, stay awake. And I'm trying to talk to her, but I have a broken mouth plate, so it's coming out real messed up. And I'm like, what happened? Is everybody okay? And she's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Just focus on me. The ambulance is on the way. And just keeping me awake. Probably kept me from sliding into a coma. Yeah. Ambulance shows up. They take me away. Apparently I was in the hospital. Like, I was awake the whole time, but time moves differently when you're like blind, essentially, because at that point I couldn't open my eyes, so I'm just kind of floating there. I can't see where I am, so I'm just like going off hearing. Apparently I was in the hospital hallway on a gurney for like 2 hours. Oh fuck. Because they didn't know who I was because for some reason they couldn't find my
Your ID.
wallet.
Yeah, your wallet.
It must have just. I think it got stolen because I had like $400 of cash in there.
It's gone.
Yeah. Whatever.
You think a paramedic just
You know what I mean?
you, dude?
Somebody did.
A cop.
Yeah, cop, paramedic, a streetwalker, whatever. You know, someone came up on me. So, yeah. Someone made up the deficit that day. So, when they finally figured out who I was, they were able to contact my family. They came. My husband, Rob, and my grandma came in the hallway, and they're talking to me, and no one's telling me what's going on, right?
Right.
Days go by. I'm slowly getting stabilized. They take me out of the ICU. My family is visiting me on and off, and then finally my uncle tells me what happened. He's like, you killed somebody.
Fuck.
And I remember when he told me that, like, subconsciously, I think I knew. You know what I mean? I think I just immediately dissociated.
Right.
But when he told me that, I just remember feeling this, like, bottomless pit open in me, and I was, like numb. Mm-hmm. Like, I did not know how to cope with that, because all my life, I had gone through life doing the most stupid, thoughtless, horrendous, making just the meanest choices I possibly could to hurt everybody else, because I wanted them to hurt like me, right?
Right.
And there was no consequence that ever crossed me that ever, like, affected me until that moment.
Right.
I suddenly went from having, like, no consequences for my actions to having, like, the weight of a life put on my shoulders. Right. And it's like all of a sudden it clicked with me.
Yeah.
And it took time to really figure out, like, how it clicked with me, if that makes sense. Like, I just know that a huge change happened that day for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I went to jail.
Yeah.
When I went to jail, originally I was looking at a murder charge and a GDI
Really?
with DUI. Yeah, because in California, it's one of the, at least at that time, it was one of the only states that had what's called a Watson murder. So if you have a DUI in California, at least one, and you commit another one and somebody passes away, they can charge you with second-degree murder.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah. So I was looking at a $3 million bail. I was looking at 28 years to life. I was sitting in jail for about 11 months.
Yeah.
As we were going through the motions of pre-trial and, all that jazz. And during that time, honestly, I was still in that mindset of, like, that victim mindset of
course,
life happens to me, not for me. You know, everything that happened to me is just can't possibly be my choices. Mm-hmm. I remember when, God, I was such a dirtbag. I remember when my attorney came to me. It was like the 8th or 9th month I was in jail. Because up to that point, I was in high power, like 24-hour lockdown.
For sure. Yeah.
He told me my victim's family decided they didn't want to go to trial.
Really?
So they want to give me, like, the maximum on the lesser charges, drop the L, drop the murder charge to manslaughter.
Manslaughter, yeah.
And in my brain, I was still mad about that.
Really?
Crazy, right?
Really?
You're
upset that they dropped it?
I was upset because I was like, it's not good enough, right?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
addicts, you want to drop everything? Is that, like, what you wanted?
I just wanted less. Like, in my brain, I was like, that's still too much, right?
Sure.
Because in my mind, I still didn't understand that, like, they don't owe me anything. Like, I'm the one that fucked up. In my head, swear to God, in my head, I was like, somehow this can't be my fault.
Right.
It's wow. I'm so glad I'm not that person anymore. God. But, like, literally at first, and I remember my attorney looking at me like, you stupid bitch. Like, I could see it in his face, but legally, like, professionally,
right.
You know what I mean?
Put on the best poker face they could.
Dude, I could see him, and he, like, his low key, his eye was twitching at me. He was like, if you don't fucking I'm gonna hit you myself. So I begrudgingly, at the moment, I begrudgingly took the deal. By the time seeing them came into play, like, after I sat with that for a second, I spoke to a couple of the people that I was in jail with that had been in and out of jail my whole life, and they gave me a lot of insight. They were like, listen, you just got blessed. You better shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
You know what I mean? They're like, 10 years, 12 years, whatever, you just beat a life sentence. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. And, like, I had to get humbled a lot in jail and in prison to really become this person that I am now.
Well, this is your first, like, real, like,
Right. Consequence. You know what I mean? And I was just a dumb kid. Like, not that that's an excuse.
No,
I
absolutely.
really needed this. Some people have asked me over the years, like, was it going to take anything less for you to change your ways? Fuck no, unfortunately it wasn't. You know what I mean? It's sad to say, but it really took something that extreme to change the person that I was to who I am today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where it began. So, like, I remember being in court, you know, and they asked me if I wanted to say anything before we went in court. And I didn't say anything because I just didn't think there was ever going to be enough. Like, there was nothing I could say to ever make it right.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? And in my brain, I was like, I'm just going to go do my time.
Right.
And then when I was in prison, I ended up getting sentenced to 11 years, 8 months at CCWF.
Okay.
And when I was in prison, you know what? I hit the ground running, man. I just kept thinking, you know what? Like, I'm not going to let this person's sacrifice, like, go in vain.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this family who blessed me to give me a second chance telling me that, you know, they don't feel that their mom, my victim, Lorraine Kennedy, would want me to be in prison for the rest of my life and she would forgive me.
Right.
And that stuck with me hard, like really hard. It really was like the pivotal thought in my brain that really just kept making choice after choice when I was in prison to do better. And, you know, I got involved in as many groups as I could. I got into the honor dorm as quick as I could. And then there I got involved into the puppy program, which is essentially like prisoners. We get paired up with dogs. And we get to train dogs for...
Oh, that's really cool.
Like anywhere for seizure alert to mobility impaired,
cool.
through Little Angel service dogs who are stationed or their headquarters.
You get have the dog like as like your...
Yeah, they live with us in the cell.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was awesome. Honestly, it saved my life because unfortunately my grandpa died in 2019 when I was still in prison. And if I didn't have my dog with me, man, like, it would have been a lot harder. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that job and that company for blessing me to be trusted with one of their animals.
Yeah.
So I did that for a couple years, and then I got to go into the fire department
for
CCWF.
So it's not like fire camp?
No. Fire camp, God, you know what? I don't want to make this seem negative. Like, fire campers, whatever you do, hey, like, good for you for pushing yourself to do better. It's no joke. That job is no joke. My captain...
I've heard.
My fire captain used to say, if you want to save trees, go to fire camp. If you want to save lives, go to the firehouse.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And the reason why is because a lot of the fire camps, they fight forest fires. Like you guys see on TV, like how they have buses and buses of them just grinding through those forests, right? What we do, there's about 10 of us in an actual fire station. We ride a fire engine. We respond to actual 911 calls outside the prison. We see, 10 car. I've been on a 40 car collision on the freeway where we had to do triage on patients. We've ripped people out of cars. We've seen gunshots. We've seen stabbings. We've done interior firefighting in commercial buildings. Yeah. There was one time where we had 3 semis on fire that had combustible fuels in the tank, and I was like, I'm gonna die today. Like,
get in there, girl.
Dude, seriously, there were days where I'm like, you know what? There could be worse ways to go. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I've told some stories from that place, but dude, that was like probably the most pivotal point I had in my prison career, as I like to put it, because I went from, being a druggie, dope fiend, a drunk, to like committing crimes such as like, DUIs, to going through prison and then going to be a first responder on calls just like that.
Right.
I remember I actually got one of the calls I got. It was a DUI case. This guy fucking slammed through like 3 cars on the freeway. And we were, scraping him out of his car, putting him on the gurney. And I was the one that, was with him at the time. And we're putting him in the ambulance, and he grabs my hand and his head's busted up, and he looks at me and he goes, "Am I going to die?" And it was so crazy because I remember when they put me in the ambulance, I asked my paramedic the same thing, and his response was, I mean, I don't know, to me. Yeah. I was like, okay. So I kept thinking, like, what do I say?
Right.
And I remember I grabbed his hand and I was just like, dude, you're in the best care you can be. Yeah. They're going to take care of you. Just focus on getting better and learning from this. Yeah. And like, we sent him off. And I remember in that moment, I was like, holy shit, dude, full circle. Full fucking circle.
God damn.
By then I was like 7 years. I mean, I hadn't drank or done any type of drugs since my crime, but I was like 7 years sober at that time
so you were 7 years sober.
Yeah. And I remember going to the station that night at that call, and I was really just reflecting on like how much my life has changed, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy, like how blessed I am today and how blessed I was throughout that time, like
Yeah.
through something that I thought was going to be like the worst thing of my life, and it ended up being the best thing for me.
Yeah.
I paroled in January of 2022.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And
So you did 7 years straight?
yeah, just about, like a little bit
okay.
shy. I paroled early because between college and the groups,
Right, and
the
being
fire
a fire
program.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much a firefighter.
Yeah, it was just
Do you get any credit for that, like at all?
like time off,
I mean,
like jobs.
like a job opportunity.
Well, so like back in the day, apparently you could get your like fire marshal certified fire one. When I first got in the program, they were still honoring that.
Yeah.
By the time I get out, the fire marshals decided that it was no longer credible, unfortunately, because normally to get firefighter one certified, you have to go to like certain, I guess like certain places to get certified, like to verify you know the skills, even though like our fire captains did that for us.
Yeah.
But you know, I was a little salty about it, but I was like, all right, whatever.
Okay.
Like I have my Fire One book. I have all my cert sign-offs from my chief and my fellow fire captains and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't count for anything except for my own like sentimental, you know.
Yeah.
I got the book, and you know what? I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I did that. You know, I can sling a fucking 85-pound ladder by myself. So,
That's right.
You know, whatever.
That's right. You can.
Yeah, fuck it. I did that. I do have quite a few friends that were in the fire program that did, you know, become firefighters.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really rad. Because I always was curious about that. Like,
yeah, like they're like in Cal Fire, or they work with the Chowchilla Fire Department. That was one of the municipal fire departments that we worked with, and they're killing it. Like they're doing it, and they have such amazing lives now, and I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the path meant for me, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's awesome that opportunity is even available to us. There's only 10 spots to be in that fire station out of thousands
in the
of
whole
women.
state.
Just in that prison.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to be in that particular program, it's the only all women's fire station in the state. Like,
oh shit!
There's not a lot of spots. You know what I mean? And I feel like I was put there for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it definitely toughened me up and taught me some facts of life, because I needed to see that shit.
Absolutely.
Definitely some things that stay with me throughout the night, but I definitely needed to see it, because it's like in prison, you go to the groups, you learn the skills, you learn the coping skills, all that. And then when you get in real life, you have to learn how to apply them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like seeing all the shit that I saw in that fire department, because, you know, we see a lot death, trauma.
You're seeing life shit.
Yeah,
real
like
life shit.
any of that could have taken me out, you know what I mean? Because even though we're excluded from the prison, if you know, if everybody approached life like a crackhead, we would all get everything we wanted, right?
Right.
We're going to find that dope,
yeah.
you know, no matter what.
Absolutely.
So if I wanted to let it take me out, I could have.
Right.
But I was really blessed to just be supported so much, like by my crew, by my captains, by my chief, by my family and friends that, you know, the few that did stay by me through that time. So once I paroled in 2022, I definitely struggled a lot. It was a big change for me. A lot had changed since then. I was really blessed that my grandma took me in, but I paroled with like nothing. I got divorced in prison. I didn't have any. I mean, you know, it's for the best.
It happens.
Yeah, I initiated it. It was just, it needed to happen. You know what I mean? That was not a healthy situation, and it wasn't meant for either of us. But I didn't parole with like any of my shit. Like everything was gone essentially.
Right. Starting all over.
Yeah, I had, you know, my sweats and like my fucking white Nikes and like some hygienes, you know what I mean? So and then, you know, when you're incarcerated for so long, it's just a trip that you can just walk in one direction and not hit a brick wall.
Right.
I remember every night for like the first couple of weeks, I was just out walking around. I was walking miles upon miles upon miles, just like enjoying the freedom.
Right.
And it was, I mean, I still do, but just, I don't have that much freaking free time now, which is great. But I remember I was, you know, like just like we hear from everybody else, like we get out after long incarceration, we go in Walmart and we're like, fuck this. There's too many types of cereals. where the fuck is my off-brand prison fucking honey nut O's? Where the fuck is my tamale pie? Like people pick this shit for me. Like I still remember like my
you got choices now.
Dude,
big choices.
I still hate it. Like I'll go grocery shopping with Maddie, my dude.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, let's make a grocery list. And I'm like, oh my God, just get the staples. Like I can't pick. There's too many I hate shopping, dude. There's too much stuff. Give me a walking horse catalog. Like I'll pick it out. You know? For real. So I got a job at a Choose Fitness gym within like 45 days. I got super blessed with that.
Wow, 45 days? That's pretty quick.
Yeah. I was just like, I think the biggest thing I struggled with was I went from being like an engineer in the fire service working practically 24/7
right
to like having nothing to do and all this free time. And I felt like a nobody.
But
I was like, dude, I was riding a fucking fire engine yesterday and now I'm in a pair of sweats walking around trying to find a job with no credentials. Like, that really fucked me in my head. So once I got over my pity party, I was like, bitch, we got to get us some income.
Yeah.
So I got to work.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I got to work and
I had a question.
Yeah,
so
please.
when you applied at Choose, was it ever brought up like you guys just got out of prison?
My past, dude, I dropped the ball immediately. I thought to myself, like, you know, we tell ourselves, how are we gonna find a job? And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna be honest, fuck it.
Right. I'm just gonna be honest, fuck it, I love that.
I straight up, because I was like, you know what, I don't want to get a job and then later on they find out, be like, oh, well, you were dishonest. Like, I can't stand that. My integrity is one of the only things I especially had at the time, and it's something I hold really in high demand. Like, my integrity is one thing that like people can't take from me, you know. And I remember I got the interview. Yeah. And we're talking, and you know, it always gets brought up like, what were you doing before this? And it's hard not to describe like, oh, I was a firefighter, and they're like, well, why aren't you?
Why aren't you?
Well, you know, I'm paroled.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm free now.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck. All right. Well, I'm just gonna be honest. I was like, hey, you know what? Full disclosure, man. I was locked up. I was in prison for about 7 years. I just paroled like a couple months ago. I was, you know, in the fire department for CCWF. Yeah. And I wasn't really that concerned if they were like, oh, we're not going to hire you. I was just like, you know what?
You were kind of ready for the bad news.
Yeah. I mean, like I had been applying. I had other interviews. I was just like, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Right. Right. And I remember my bosses at the time, Ryan and Brian, they both looked at me because it was a Zoom call at the time. They were still doing those type of interviews.
I remember those.
And they were like, interesting. So what was that like? You know what I mean? Like, it was a really wholesome like interview. That's how I knew I wanted to work there. Like it was more like just talking to some friends than it was having an interview. It was really funny. It was really enjoyable.
So like, you got a good vibe.
Yeah, it was super chilling. And I got a call back like literally within a few hours. And they're like, yeah, we want to hire you. And I was like, sick.
That's fucking rad.
Yeah, I was so blessed, bro. I still work there.
Yeah.
I love working there. Like
I stop by every once in a while.
Yeah, man. You gotta come by. It's a good time for the most part. Like we're weird. Who doesn't want to be weird?
Right.
I'm there at fucking 4:00 in the morning. Come find me. But it's a good time, and I just got really blessed with that opportunity, and it's really helped me build the foundation I needed to get my life back in order. Like I'm still like a lukewarm mess. I'm not like a hot mess.
Lukewarm.
Like I'm working on it.
Same here.
Yeah, you know, we do our best.
We do our best.
Yeah.
Were you always an active person?
Like physically, or just like yes and no.
Or was it like prison, that kind of?
Like before I got to prison, like I got big. I was pretty fat. I'm not gonna lie. Like, dude, because booze and Mexican food at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah,
like
that'll hit you,
dude. Because it's the best combo. You know what I mean?
It is.
And by that time, the most active I was doing was like, I don't know, like running amok through the streets.
Right. Missions and dumb shit.
Like when I was like in my teenage years, I was super fit, but that was mostly because I was like skateboarding to like the dope man's house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Best exercise ever.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Fucking A. But other than that, I wasn't too active when I got arrested, especially because when I went to jail and they had me on lockdown, like I was like in a single man cell. It was like fucking, you would lay down and your feet and your head would touch both sides of the wall. You know what I mean? It was tiny. So you weren't doing much. Nah. You got out for an hour for a shower and your phone call, and that was it.
Right.
So when I got to state, I started walking a lot because, you know, you go to work change, you go to main yard, whatever, you got to walk pretty far. Yeah. But I still wasn't super active. When I got to the firehouse, they fucking whooped me in
that's
shape.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
dude.
They probably like, it was like, boot camp. Like,
Oh
let's
my
go.
God,
Let's
bro.
go.
It was rough. We were PTing at 5 a.m., like a 3-mile run into an hour of PT. Then at any time we can get a call to go on a fire. There was a time where I was on a fire for like 17 hours after like 4 hours of sleep.
That's
It was a commercial structure fire in the middle of Madera County. It was my first day as an engineer. And I remember I practically shit myself. I was like, of course this is happening right now.
Yeah.
Not prepared at all. We had to go interior with this big ass 2.5-inch hose. I was so tired, but it was so much fun.
Right.
Like, even when you're dead ass tired, like, you just know you're all fucking going through it together. You're like, fuck it. If we die, we die.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Yeah, dude, like, we
Fucking
were just
right.
delirious together all the
Oh,
time.
of course.
Yeah, it was a good time. But when I got out, like, I was so used to being that active. Like,
Sure.
I got introduced to the gym really quickly. I had a
Right.
friend, Naveen,
Mhm.
who took me as her guest. So, like, we would work out
Okay,
because I needed it. Like,
Right.
the voice,
Right.
I was
To
like,
make up for it, all the.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
dude, the voice is in my head, bro. We gotta take this fucking edge
Yeah,
off.
they're getting a little loud.
Yeah, which definitely exercise became like a really, really good coping skill for me. It definitely replaced a lot of like more negative coping skills for
Right.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just made that like my routine for the longest time, and I got kind of comfortable, right? Like, I did a year of that program, or a year of like that same routine of
Sure.
like going to the gym, working. Like, I was doing it constantly.
Yeah.
I also got picked up by the company that I worked for in prison for the puppy program out here. I was their first inmate hire upon parole for Little
no
Angel
shit.
Service Dogs, and
Really?
I was so blessed, man. I was so grateful, and they really just helped me a lot to get on my feet. Unfortunately, after like 6 months of doing the 2 jobs, I was working from like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It just,
Oh God, it's brutal, dude.
yeah, it came too much for me, and I had to make a decision. And
Yeah.
I just went with like what was closer to my home and a bit more consistent.
Right.
So after some time, like I this last year and a half, like I got back in school.
Yeah.
I've been grinding with that school and work with
Yeah,
them. I started getting into groups, because that's the thing, in the fire program, you can't do any self-help groups. There's no time.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost some of those skills, especially like with 12-step, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never, in jail and in prison, we don't really get to do like 12-step like it is out here. It's a different kind of
Really?
demon out here. Yeah.
There's
At
no...
least for us in the women's. I don't know how it is for men, but like we don't even get tokens.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Fuck
Like,
no.
we don't get tokens.
Nah.
We don't get like sponsy type
Yeah.
things. Like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's not real, but it's not as authentic.
Yeah. The men's program too, though. It's pretty limited. And there's like a fuck ton of us in there. Like I think in
100%.
county jail a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I heard in prison, like once you're a certain level, I think like level 3 or 4, like they're not even gonna,
Yeah, we're a level 4 women's up there, which is like probably like a level 2 for men.
For men's,
Yeah,
okay.
level 2 or 3 for men. Like,
Okay.
I know that it's all different, you know, but they were just basically like, yeah, fuck you, go do your fucking, God grant me the serenity thing, and get out. Yeah.
Here's a book. Good luck.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so, don't get me wrong, some of the COs are, they're not just there to pick up a paycheck, but a lot of them, they just do the rinse, wash, repeat, bare minimum shit. And you just got to do your best with it. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I came out and
You started going to meetings right after you got out of prison?
not right after. So here's the funniest thing. I didn't know what dry versus sober was.
Oh,
right?
no?
No, I didn't know that until I got out, right? So about a year and some change go by, and I'm just like, you go through the honeymoon stage of freedom, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, wow.
Sunshine and rainbows, and everything's fucking tinted with glitter, and there's no fucking way I can ever be sad ever again.
Never again. Yeah.
Like, I have no reason, right?
Yeah.
Fucking wrong. So
goes away after 3 days.
yeah, you know what I mean? Give it 6-7 months of the grind, and you're like, fuck, dude, I'm tired. Like, my spirit is tired. And like you'd mentioned earlier, Charlie, she got out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys got out kind of like. Well, you got out first.
Like a year after me.
Yeah.
She got out a year after me. She's the one that introduced me to groups, right? Because when she got out, she acclimated a lot quicker than I did. She just hit the ground running. She did her group. She got to school. She had a plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So after I don't remember how long it was after she paroled that she got me, and I want to say maybe almost maybe almost a year. I don't know.
Okay.
It wasn't long after, give or take, but time again goes by so fast out here.
Yeah, right.
She was like really gunning for me to go to an HA group on Monday.
Oh, no
the God's
shit.
Garage group.
Oh, okay.
That was the first one I went to, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
I didn't know what to expect, right? But the first group we went to, and like, I think it was probably either Rigel or Brian that was speaking up, and just like, you know, the type of banter that goes on in there.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, this is my people. We're all fucking weird. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And
they're very open about how weird they are.
Yeah, we love it. You know, like, and everybody there was just so welcoming, and it was just a different kind of group that I was not exposed to.
Yeah.
And I was still really, I wouldn't say shy, but I'm very cautious with people.
Sure, absolutely.
And especially at that time, that was like the first crowd of people I'd been in a while.
Yeah,
and you know, at groups, everybody's like, "Hey, welcome, hi, da da da, let me hug you." And
like,
I was just like, "Whoa, I'm overstimulated. Get the fuck away from me."
Yeah, right.
So it took a while, like probably a solid 8 to 10 months until I started really opening up to people.
Really?
But I was trying to go as consistently as possible because there was just something about it that I was like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be. I don't know why, but every time I go, I'm hearing something that just kind of makes me feel something.
Yeah.
And then I got asked to share, and it went really good. And that you just kind of forget that sometimes, like, sharing your story and like listening to other people, like, there's just healing in that. It'd been so long that since I had participated in that type of setting, I was like, fuck, man, I forgot about this. You know, I picked up a sponsor, and that's really when like everything changed.
Right.
I've had my sponsor for about 8 months now.
Oh,
and
really?
Dude, in like the entire time I've, you know, was incarcerated to freedom till now, I've had more positive change in my life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, since I picked up a sponsor and started doing these steps than I did through all my time in prison, through the puppy program, through fire camp, through freedom, through whatever, you name it. Like, there is just something about the science behind these steps, man. Like, they say it works if you work it, and it's fucking true.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought this was some type of cult magic bullshit. I was like, no.
It is not.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we're a cult, come join. You know, drink the Kool-Aid.
Join us.
Yeah.
Find our best.
Yeah. Fucking A. Jim Jones is in the back. Sign the fucking... But for real, like, I remember going there, especially, you know, it's always the controversial G word, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us struggle with the G word, and I was like, I don't know about this, like, this spaghetti monster, higher power person you're talking about, right?
Sky Daddy?
Yeah. But I remember, like, I picked up my sponsor, and we're very, very slow moving with my steps, which I was so grateful about, because I was just very much like, if we start trying to push the Christian Bible on me or some type of
I'm out this month.
You know what I mean? And it's nothing personal to those that do that. It was just there's something in me that's like immediately turned off by it.
Sure.
But once I started working those steps and really getting to understand like what my higher power looks like, what it does for me, you know, where my priorities need to be, how to reassess my boundaries, you know, working through those resentments, like doing all those steps. With each and every step, I just kept feeling this, like, one more brick, one more chip, one more weight fall off my shoulder, and feeling lighter and lighter until I came to like this point where now I'm looking at my life and I'm like, damn, I'm like, I have a fucking amazing life. Like, it's hard. I'm busy as hell. But like, hey,
you are.
You know what I mean? Like, idle time is the devil's playground. So I do busy well.
Right.
You know, I'm doing like fucking full-time school, full-time work. I'm trying to work out still, doing my routines, trying to go to groups where I can. I have a awesome partner in my life today that supports me, and he's like my best friend at the same time. It's healthy. First healthy relationship I've ever been in.
Nice.
I got a fucking awesome support network. I get to sit here with you and do something awesome like this. I've never done a podcast before, so this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, all these doors just start opening up, you know, and, you know, for the people out there, like, listening, trying to hear, like, you know, the message that I feel like we're all trying to send whenever we share a story. It's just, you know, whether or not you think it's for you, it comes to a point where it's like, I mean, haven't you tried everything else? Like, who cares? Just give it a shot. You know, guess what? That life you were just living will still be waiting for you if you decide it don't work for you.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? It's there waiting you for free.
Waiting.
There's a refund.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes the first one's free.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, why not? At a certain point, even if you haven't, quote, hit your rock bottom, maybe, because I feel like there's always something lower.
It always gets worse.
It's like I got to a point where I was feeling so depleted. I was like, fuck, why not? Let's just go.
Yeah.
Like, just try something different. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful because it's opened me up to friendships that I never thought I'd have. I've rebuilt bridges I never thought would ever be able to be bonded again.
Right.
You know, with my family, with people from my past, with myself, most importantly. Like, I've learned to love myself that I didn't realize, like, I had been missing that part of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learned how to love everyone else in a sense and avoid self-reflection for so long. And like doing those steps, you don't got a choice. Your sponsor will be like, yeah, right. Sit back down and rewrite this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Call you out.
Yeah. And
at least a good one will.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The ones worth their salt, which, you know, mine, he definitely got his work cut out for him with me, but
oh, really?
yeah, I'm grateful that he's patient enough to work through my 27 and a half personalities. Yeah, but
buckle your seatbelt.
yeah, we're pushing to work through steps 8 and 9.
Oh, good.
And
oh, dude.
yeah, I'm
that's great. That's
trying to make that time between
yeah,
school
absolutely.
and work.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it's funny because I was just getting a little bit of flashbacks of when I first met you and Charlie at the Fuck Fentanyl photo shoot.
Oh my God, at the beach.
Yeah, at the beach.
Yeah.
I literally was so stunned because I think I was talking to you first, and I was so stunned about like that you just got released from
prison.
Like a long stint like that. Well, in my opinion, it was a long stint.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, this girl looks like just like a regular like college girl. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then I talked to Charlie. She's like, oh, I'm an ex-lifer. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? What's going on here?
We get that a lot. It's funny. I at my job, I've actually kind of used it as a platform to spread a lot of awareness about stuff like that because I work with a lot of youngsters.
Sure.
And we'll have like work meetings every once in a while, and sometimes we'll do these jokes called or I should say icebreakers. It's called 2 truths and a lie. So everybody goes around and tells 2 truths and a lie, right? Yeah. And like one of mine will be like, I had a $3 million bail once. Everyone thinks that's the lie. Oh, that's hilarious. And that opens the platform for conversation, right? And then, everybody I work with knows about my history for a reason of like, hey, whatever you're doing in your life, trust me, I ain't gonna judge you. You want to come talk to me, because the youth these days, man, like I thought I had it bad then, like they are exposed to all sorts of shit, whether it's the internet and fucking social media and the fentanyl crisis. Like there's so many people out there that are 15, 16, 17 that are like slinging this shit or doing it every day, and I'm like, it's crazy.
Dropping like flies because of it.
Yeah. Honestly, and it's wild. And I feel like the more awareness we spread about like, hey, you could just be a regular looking person down the street and they've been through some shit. Like, you're not alone. You just never know where they may be. And I commend you for doing things like this podcast and everything you do with, Fuck Fentanyl, because it's changing lives, man. It's spreading a message that's really needed.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. One more question for you.
Please.
So what is your sobriety date?
Yeah, no. Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, actually. So, me and my sponsor, after working for a while, I've actually changed my sobriety date.
Oh, really?
So, like, when I first paroled, within, like, I think it was, like, 6 months after I paroled. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was going through this phase where, I didn't have anybody in the rooms. Sure. I didn't have any friends that were...
You just got out.
Yeah, and I was, like... In my brain, I was like, you know what? I've been doing really good. I've been sober for this long. Like, everybody else I know is, like, drinking or smoking pot. Like, this is normal. I'm like, and I'm not sad. I'm not angry. Like, I think it'll be fine for me. I had a friend. We went to Disneyland for my birthday. Yeah. And I smoked some pot with her. Like, on her like, pen thingy.
Oh, yeah.
That was
electric pen.
Yeah, that was not a thing. When I was free, so I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's, like, odorless. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Honestly, I don't even know if I really did it right. Like, I felt like, I was like, how the fuck does this work?
It's like an extra hits.
Yeah.
Is it hitting me?
No, for real. Like, I was sitting there in a parking lot with her for, like, a solid 15 minutes, and she was, like super stoned, and I was like, I think I was kind of stoned, and I kept hitting it, and then when I got in the room, I was like, okay, I'm pretty high.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, and, like, I didn't really know how I felt about it. Like, after it happened, I talked to Charlie and a few other people. not like from prison, like they were still in.
Sure.
And I was like, this is what happened. I experimented with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would consider it a relapse. Yeah. Like I was, sitting there bargaining with myself, right? And then it was like the one time it happened, and then it never happened again, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then, going over with the steps with my sponsor, obviously it got brought up, and he was like, yeah, we need to talk about that. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, what's up? And he was like, yeah, no, you can't be like, oh, it was a good time, so it's not a relapse. Like, no, it's a relapse. And I was like, oh, okay.
Damn. What a hard ass.
No, but it's true. And I'm glad that, like, it wasn't just him, too. Like, I talked to, once it got brought up and I realized how serious it was, I brought it up to my partner and one of my closer friends. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Like, after having it put, like, into perspective for me, and then, like, right before that happened, somebody in the rooms shared basically something similar. It was super, super honest with everybody. I was like, hey, I'm resetting my date because, like, I was doing something that's questionable to my, my morals and my integrity, my sobriety. And I was like, dude, fucking respect, man.
I see.
And I was like, I hold so much respect for these people that I've built these bonds within these rooms. And I was like, I want to be of that integrity. So right now, we changed my sobriety date, not to when I relapsed, because I honestly can't remember the exact date, but what I decided to do, because I was dry through that time anyway.
Right. Sure.
It's June 17th of last year.
Oh, last year.
From when me and my sponsor started working steps.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm about...
So that's easy to keep track.
Yeah, so like what, 9 months? About 9
nice.
months. July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, like about 9 months next month.
Nice.
I think. I'm not great at math.
Me either. I'm like,
yeah.
Sometimes I could be like Rain Man and be like, oh yeah, that's
100%. So about 9 months, working the steps and staying like purposefully like in my grind of sobriety, not like just dry. And I'm actually really grateful that I reset that time, because the number means so much more to me. Because back then, I was like, oh yeah, I'm 7 years, 6 years, whatever.
Yeah. I did pick up.
Yeah, exactly. To me, for other people, it could be different. But for me, like, the date didn't hold as much weight until I started working for it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because obviously staying sober, not using is important.
Of course it is.
But, like, not using and then, like, making that active work to work those steps, practice those principles, like, that's a whole nother level of, like, I don't know, just activeness in spirituality.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I somewhat do the same thing, because like my clean date is March 5th. It's coming up actually, but
nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. But like I didn't work anything. I just didn't pick up, but I was fucking dry, and it just didn't happen, when I was inside. And then I feel like my recovery didn't really begin until I started to do step work at the Freedom Ranch. Yeah, which was like months after. Like I would say like maybe like 6 months, or I can't put a date on it. That's the only thing that sucks. Because if I would, I would do the same thing.
Right. Well, and don't get me wrong. Like, hey, not picking up, especially dry, that's hard.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that support.
No, absolutely. I burned all my bridges. I was penniless. I had like, and there was opportunity too. Like there was a couple chances I could have got it. And matter of fact, whenever the dope hits and shit, all the fools, because I'm in Bailey, so we're politicking. They all looked at me and they're like, like they thought I was gonna get it, and I had no money.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm like, look, I told them like I'm good right now, but who knows what goes on in the future. I didn't really want to get clean until probably it was when I was like 6 months. Yeah. Like sincerely, like I'm done. I'm fucking done.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like all of us, that's what I love about hearing different stories. Cause like it's always a different, like a different progression.
Right. Yeah.
For some people, it's like immediate. They jump into a room, they get a sponsor like fucking week 1, and they just
I
never
admire
stop.
that. I totally do.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, man, I wish I was like that.
Yeah. Same. I'm like me. It took like borderline a life sentence and fucking everything else.
Right. Yeah. It took a lot of consequences.
Yeah. But the important thing is that we're here.
Right.
There's so many of us that just didn't even make it to like the sober point.
Right.
That didn't get past that last hit.
Yeah.
And it's sad to think about just the numbers that just keep growing, that it could have been any one of us.
Right.
I could have died, you could have died.
Yeah,
There's so many of our friends that like are in the rooms today still spreading those messages. Like,
Absolutely.
and it's an overwhelming feeling when you really sit back and think about it. Like, I just really, and it's not to say that the people that aren't here didn't have a purpose or still don't just because they aren't here. You know, there's something out for them somewhere else. Like, that's just how I believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, we're all here for a reason.
Yeah.
We all got a story to share.
Absolutely.
And we got works to do, man. We got works to do.
Absolutely. I feel you. I always felt, I guess that's why that date, my clean date's so important to me, because I didn't choose it.
Right.
You know, a group of men, you know, the police department chose it for me. And then, so that's why it means so much to me.
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, I was born to be a statistic.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I not dead? But from that shit, but
100%.
I'm here. Here I am.
We are doing bigger and better. Never thought we'd be sitting here doing this, huh?
No, fuck no.
Yeah,
no. 12 years ago? Fuck. Dude, you serious?
I'd have been like, you're smoked out.
Smoked out. Thank you so much for coming in here.
No.
This is so awesome. I'd love to have you back on here too.
100%. Yeah, thank you for blessing me with the opportunity, man. This is awesome. And I'm super grateful that we were able to get here at the same time where we had that rare moment of free time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you. All right. Goodbye, everybody.